All right, guys. So what we're about to look at is the kind of just a number of topics and a number of main ideas and a number of uh, questions that are being raised during this time period, and kind of chunking a whole bunch of stuff together here. So let's just first get with the first series of questions, the first series of terms. We have a main idea, and that main idea which we're looking at is the Industrial Revolution's impact on the United States. So first, let's look at the first term here. Name given to the period in the 19th century when power-driven machines operated by semi-skilled or unskilled workers replaced hand tools, okay, to operate those goods. This is what the Industrial Revolution is, guys. It's very simple, is that you don't think of the plug. The plug's coming in a little bit. It's just simply we've got machines, power-driven machines, gas-driven, electronically driven, the winding, but it's now replacing from my hands to a machine doing it. That is the initial Industrial Revolution. Now, again, how does this impact the U.S.? Well, a guy by the name of Eli Whitney is going to invent something in 1763 that helped transform the South into a plantation system dependent on slave labor and cotton. This being the cotton gin. Cotton, because it was so labor intensive, was actually on the way out in the South. However, this invention, which allowed you to mass produce cotton, it's truly, and of course it is interchangeable, it's truly going to transform. Now, Eli Whitney is also going to transform the North. Eli Whitney is going to introduce the idea, all right, and that is that where the practice of manufacturing the identical parts, so only a broken part would need to be replaced to repair the whole machine. He applied this to the making of muskets. So prior to making a musket, making a gun, one person would make the whole thing, and it would be specifically to that product. Now he said, well, how about this? Let's make 20 gun barrels. Let's make the exact same. Let's make 20 guns the exact same. Okay. And so that way, if that gun broke, we could replace it with another piece. So he applied this to the North. And then they introduced this idea up north in the factories, and they became dependent on immigrant labor. All right. And of course, this idea was interchangeable parts. The fact that I could build something, and if a piece broke on it, I could take that piece off and then change it back with another piece identical to that. Now, add this into your notes, guys. Understand what mass production is. Mass production is the manufacture of goods in large quantities by machinery, aka is that I can produce something at a large amount. Okay, so this is what it's going to introduce. Now, the combination of Eli Whitney's two inventions, the cotton gin and the interchangeable parts, helped lead, and this is going on, the development of the economic, social, cultural, political differences that exist between different parts of the country in the United States at this time. Now, pride in your whole country is nationalism. Well, this is going to help lead to sectionalism. We have the section of the United States. We have the southern section and the northern section. Now, the Industrial Revolution led people to invent equipment to travel faster. These included the steamboat and trains, which led to what? The Transportation Revolution. Whoa, hold on. So now we're having an improvement in industry. So now we have steamboats. Now we're going to start to see trains. So instead of me having to get on a horse or me walking, I now could move faster. So now I'm transporting goods in a larger amount. Now, transportation ties to industrialization to a term that you need to go ahead and identify with. It's called manifest destiny. All right, and we'll hit that a little bit later. But just know, transportation, I can get somewhere a lot faster. Industrialization allows me to get somewhere faster, and it's going to spawn an idea called manifest destiny. Now, better transportation due to the advancements of the Industrial Revolution, okay, such as locomotives, steamboats, and roads, allowed for regions to sell supplies to one another. This was known as the market revolution. So here we go. Industrial revolution, new forms of transportation. Leads to the transportation revolution. Now I can go places farther and faster. Leads to the market revolution. If I can go places, I can also sell goods to more locations. Now, the Industrial Revolution's impact on westward expansion is easily seen, and it is symbolized with blank, which enabled people to travel upstream as easily as downstream. And of course, that is the steamboat. So we look at the steamboat and we say, all right, if I wanted to travel on a river prior to the Industrial Revolution, I would have had to use a pulley system. I would have had to get on the side and walk up it. It was pretty much just about impossible. But however, now the steamboat can fight against the current and I can travel upstream. This is going to allow me to get goods faster. Now, so that is everything that's going on. These are things that are impacting the United States during the first 5 presidents. It's also, these are things that are these are outside things that are influencing the presidencies. That leads us into our 7th president, okay? Andrew Jackson. Now, the time period after our first 5 presidents, after James Monroe, after the era of good feeling, is we begin to see the age of Jackson kind of take its toll, all right? And this is also known as the pre-antebellum period, pre-war period, pre-Civil War period. And so it becomes identified with the individual Jackson because of all the things that are going to come to surface as a result of his presidency. Now, so the period of change that encompasses not only the presidency of Andrew Jackson, but also the significant political, economic, and social developments that occur prior to the Civil War is known as the Age of Jackson. Now, when President Jackson won the election of 1828, he is going to fill government positions with people of his own party. This became known as the spoils system. All right. And this was to the victor belongs the spoils. And if you're like, man, maybe I've heard of Andrew Jackson before. Well, he is currently on the $20 bill. This actually has been in recent news. It's been advocated to replace him with Harriet Tubman. So, and we'll kind of explain, we'll see a little bit more about Jackson and some other things that occurred during his presidency. Now, so there's a political thought which develops as a result of this time, a political ideology. And it's going to be associated with Jackson. It's going to be a strong executive branch, meaning a strong president. Let's take a little power away from Congress. Let's expand the voting rights to what we identify as the common man pre-Civil War. And of course, that was the non-land holding white male. Okay. Now understand that to vote prior to this political ideology, you had to be a land-owning male, all right? Now, and states' rights. This became known as Jacksonian democracy. We're going to talk about equality and rights at this time as well, but we need to understand that we're going to be fighting for the abolishment of slavery, voting rights for women and men. So it's important that you identify that, and we'll kind of see that here in a little bit. Now, the modern political culture of this, communications to the public designed to influence their opinion, mudslinging, campaign rallies, barbecues, developed as a result of Andrew Jackson becoming president. This was, but we'll get that in a minute, but here's an image. This is a political cartoon to the left. It's kind of showing President Jackson on top of a pig covered in money. And then this is the symbol. If you see this symbol right here, if you see this image right here, this is the image that defines Jacksonian democracy. And it has President Andrew Jackson dressed up like a king, okay? Because people are saying, oh, you want a strong executive branch, you're trying to act like a king. And you can see he has the veto in his left hand. And he's standing on top of the Constitution. So people who did not like Andrew Jackson were going to kind of portray him in this type of imagery. And of course, this is propaganda. So we're really going to see propaganda begin to take stage as a result of Jackson becoming president. Now, and Jackson was your everyday, and getting quotation, common man. When he gets elected president, he has a party at the White House, and it is a shindig, guys. There is a rodeo going on in the front lawn of the White House. There's records of people jumping out of the second story of the White House window. He opened up the doors and said, anybody that wants to come celebrate, let's celebrate. Now, again, he's going to be dominated by a couple of issues. So those are some political issues that are developing. And here's a major political issue that is developing, okay? We already said that the Industrial Revolution is setting the seeds for sectionalism, meaning, you know, after the War of 1812, everybody was proud to be an American, the era of good feeling. Well, now we're starting to see, by the time Jackson comes into presidency, this sectionalism develop. And we see this when South Carolina, all right, wants to nullify and declare a federal tariff, a tariff being a tax on imported goods from other countries. They want to declare this unconstitutional, all right? Now, South Carolina goes as far as threatening to secede, aka deuces, catch you on the flip side, leave the United States, all right? And this is something Jackson has to deal with as president. And this is known as the nullification crisis. Again, we talked about this in the last one with the first 5 presidents. This was an argument that it was first initiated by Thomas Jefferson. So 13. Andrew Jackson's vice president was actually from South Carolina. And he argued that states could nullify or cancel federal laws they opposed. And so we see at the highest level that his loyalty, the vice president of the United States, was to the interest of the southern region or section of the United States and not the United States as a whole. So it made it clear how divided the nation was becoming. And of course, his name is John C. Calhoun. Now, Jacksonian democracy is going to emphasize the common man, all right? And man bolstered a religious revival that swept the nation during the 20s and set the foundation for reforms that are about to occur. Again, placing emphasis on an individual. And so we're going to see again, another Great Awakening, the second Great Awakening. And all this is again, it's if you go to church or you sing signs for a revival is just trying to get people back into church, right? Now, and then finally, this grew out of the desire to protect women and children from the abuses of general poverty associated with the working man spending his pay on drink. And this, of course, is something that's going to be known, which we'll get on the next video because we're about out of time. So I will hit that up on the next video. If you have any questions, please let me know. And as always, remember to smile. It's contagious.